Hey everyone, thanks for joining me today. I have a very special What's in the Box for you because I was one of the lucky few to be able to pick up Necas Gargoyle Goliath figure from their online sale. Obviously, this is a massive box for a figure, probably one of the largest Necas put out. Um, yeah, it's incredibly big and incredibly heavy. And I can't wait to get into it and show you some of the details of the figure and give you an idea of what to expect from the line, since NECA has said that they will go deep into these figures and include the majority of the gargoyles, maybe even the human figures. So ready to show you what this has got in store. So here we have Goliath in all his gargoyle glory. Um, Obviously, he's a large figure, and for good reason. These characters were all pretty massive in some way or another. Goliath being the largest of the gargoyles, followed by the female, who I forget her name. I remember this show from my childhood, well, more like in my early teens, and I absolutely loved it. Sadly, I haven't gone out of my way to watch it since then, but I do remember it being pretty solid and a good little show. I'm basically going off nostalgia for these characters, and I do plan on collecting the whole line, especially after seeing this guy. Um, as far as size goes, we'll stack him up against a human like McCready, and you'll see he's probably a good head and a half taller than Mac is. Probably about a head taller. So it does give him a pretty good amount of size. And I think that works across the line, especially if you want to involve other characters from other franchises, just to have a sort of play set going on. As far as accessories, he has these open clawed hands for grabbing. He has a couple closed fists, as you can see right here, both a left and a right. And he has one opened hand sculpt as well. I do believe that is for one of his other accessories, which we'll get to in a second. Other than a standard head with eyes, which if you remember the show, he would switch between eye sets. When he was angry or when he was coming out of being stone, his eyes would turn white. Other times they would look more human. So NECA included the whited eye head with this. It also has a nice sort of growl to it, which is pretty cool. Now the hair on these is completely flexible. It looks as if it's made out of some type of vinyl or soft plastic. The hair is pretty much solid black except for when it gets to the back area, and then there are sort of blue-gray highlights throughout, which is a nice touch for them. You can also see a few highlights on the inside of this, even though it's something you won't see because it's draped over his back. Along with that, you have this unfolded book here, which is quite cool. It's got a nice little paint job on it. It's a brown leather with some washes in it and a little damage to the outside of the book. The pages is sort of a parchment yellow, and it actually has lettering on it. Whether I can read that lettering or not, it's a whole nother story. I don't believe it's in a human hand, but I can't really remember the purpose of it from the show. Of course, this could go in one of his open clawed hands, no problem. Now, the one thing I do not remember is the purpose of this chili pepper. He comes with one little green chili pepper. The stem's dark green, while the body's just a medium green. If you know the purpose of this, tell me down in the comments, because I definitely don't remember this. And of course, this would fit into his open palmed hand, no problem. Now, of course, at this point, I've left out one major thing, which is the wings, but we'll get to those in a second. Let's break down the figure and what you can expect from it. Of course, I mentioned his size, which is pretty nice. I think he could have been bigger, but that's okay. It's plenty big, trust me. Of course, you have the natural normal head here, with his human eyes and just sort of a standard look on his face. Overall body paint, clearly the plastic is a solid light purple, sort of a lavender, and they've gone in with a lot of airbrushing to bring in these dark low lights between all the muscles. His nails are a dark purple, as you can tell, especially on his feet, very noticeable there. The feet are humongous. It's really does have sort of a presence. And the funny thing is of course you have his tail as well. Now this I put in already just to have a stand. That would be one of my gripes. He doesn't have any kind of stand, and if it wasn't for the tail, he would probably just fall flat over, especially when you get to the wings. This tail is sort of a classic kind of thing that's been around in toys for, gosh, 50 years probably, which is it's a rubber tail, and it has, of course, these little pinprick holes throughout. This is something that's been around for so long I can't even tell you. That is because it has a wire inside that makes it bendable. So yes, you can straighten that out. You can whip it around. You can do quite a bit. It is pretty stiff, but it's good enough that you can keep it in a certain position. Problem is, without a stand, you're never going to have it in any other position than straight back, holding this figure up. Now, he could probably stand on his own without the tail and the wings, but it becomes a problem once you add much anything else to the figure. Of course, he has some nice arched feet that come out in large claws in the back. The same can be said of his arms and his hands, which his elbows end in sort of a sharpened claw type thing. His belt, the leather skirt, I guess you would say, or kilt or whatever, is really well done. It's a dark brown with even darker brown undertones, belt straight black and buckle gold. Pretty good. I'm seeing no paint spill on any of this. I'm not seeing any real issues to point out as far as paint goes. The tail is the plain lavender color. Can't really complain too much. I mean, there's not a lot of structure to the tail, so you can't really dive in and put a bunch of color on it. I guess you could have had it darken a little bit as it rose into the backside, but that's the only thing you could have really done with it. He is quite poseable. I'll give him that. This is probably one of the easiest jointed figures that I've seen from NECA. That may not play out well later on down the line, especially if you're a poser. As you can see, he has a bit of a wobble in his elbow joint on both sides, and that can be said for a few of these joints. They're not horribly loose. They're not anything that should be bothersome right away. But like I said, if you pose a lot, it could run into an issue later on down the line. But yeah, you can easily move his arms immediately out of the box. It's not like you're going to be fighting this figure too much like so many others. You know, his legs will rise and set, his feet will turn. I mean, it's great. There's a lot of possibility with articulation with him. And I'm sure you could probably even get him in his stone style gargoyle pose, perched on a ledge. Now, I did see someone but only one person complained that, well, complained, it's, the truth is, it snapped off at the waist for him. I don't know if that's a thing or not. I mean, I would not be crunching this character up too hard just in case, but you know, sometimes these things happen. Anyway, no issue with this one so far. But yeah, I mean, another really great outing from NECA. I know I'm starting to sound like a fanboy because I rarely say anything too horrible about NECA figures. But to be honest, there's always a nitpick or two that comes out during a review. As far as this character goes, I'd rank it up there in some of their top figures, some of their top releases this year. Some of the issue with that is he is a little plain because he's a gargoyle and he doesn't have a lot of details as far as accessories and skin tone and outfit, really. But it's exactly what you want, you know. It's exactly what you want from this figure and from this line. Now, as you've noticed, my close-up shot is much wider than in previous episodes, and that is because of the coolest thing about this figure. The wings are unbelievably cool and even immaculate in a way. So I've set these off to the side so they don't take up the frame too much. But here are the wings. And they did some pretty cool stuff here. I expected just plain black wings with some color on them for his skin tone. Now, I'm not sure what they did here, but the wings are much darker in color than his actual skin tone. Could be on purpose, I'm not really sure. But the peg itself is lighter. Either way, it won't matter because it's hidden under the hair. Now, on the back of the figure, you have two places to put the wings. Be careful, these are not joints. Warning, they are not joints. They are simply plugs to place these inside of. You don't really need to be turning them or twisting them. I'm telling you, bad idea. What you'll want to do is when you reposition the wing, which you're not going to do too much of, you could probably put them higher, but you could probably only go this much lower on the figure. When you want to put them in position, you need to pop them out, put it where you want it, and then push it back in. Right now we're going to give you a full wingspan after I give you little details about these. The leather winged sculpt is crazy good. There are so many little details and so many little things going on in these wings. Instead of these straight black wings, they went black, but then they dry brushed this metallic blue over the top. And as you can tell, most likely on camera, that is very reflective and very, very cool. I've got to commend them on doing that. So now we'll say we want our wing in this position, and we will push this over to the plug here and stick it in. One more deeper and we got it. Same thing here. We'll position this peg like so. Go back behind his hair. Find the hole for it and press in. So here you have Goliath with a full wing expansion. Now, if that's not cool, I don't know what is. I'm telling you right now, that's the coolest thing about this figure. Now, once you've got his wings on, he does get a little wobbly. These add quite a bit of weight to the figure, and so you're going to depend on that tail to keep him up. Again, that's one big complaint I have. He really needed a little extra support, but still, that's a very, very cool look for him. And if you just do some positioning, you'll be able to lean him back on that tail enough that he doesn't pitch forward and fall. These wings are hard plastic. Let's get that straight. And I'm pretty sure they had to go with hard plastic to make certain that this didn't weigh down the figure too much. They're fairly light, but thin, hard plastic. So if this guy takes a tumble, watch out. Don't put him too high on your shelf or nothing like that. This is strictly, he needs to be contained in something like a Detolf behind me, or another display case like that, so he doesn't fall down. Now, he is not going to fit into a Detolf, since Detolfs only have about 14 inches width, 14 or 15, and this guy's probably 16 or 17 with expanded wings. Now here comes my second nitpick. The character is known for, of course, the wings, but he's also known for draping those wings over his shoulder almost like a duster or a coat or a cape. He doesn't come with that. So you have no options when it comes to displaying him in his wrapped wings. And to display him figure on its own, you have to completely remove the wings. So he doesn't have wings when he's in your case unless you add them. So there's really, that's just something that's missing to me. It's such an iconic thing from the cartoon for me, of when he drapes those wings over his shoulders, these two little pieces interlock and they sit there, and that's how he talks to people, and when he's not angry, and it's a very cool look. I can only hope that we will get some crazy accessory pack that would include those draped wings. I think it would be a smart thing. I think it would be an instant buy for most fans. Sure, the draped wings would cover up much of his body, but that's not the point. It's an iconic stance for him. He's well known for being extremely, heroic and solemn, and so those draped wings just add to that, and hopefully they will do something with those in the future. Of course, once you add the wings, his head kind of tilts down, and there's not a whole lot you can do about that. Because of the hair, he really doesn't have any articulation up and down in the head. You can turn it side to side pretty easily, but no up and down at all. But still, very cool, very big figure. I think people who love that series will love the figure, and undoubtedly will buy many more in the line. So I am happy with this, and it does bring back a good bit of nostalgia, and I can't wait to see what they do with other characters like Brooklyn and all of those. So yeah, hopefully you'll get a chance to pick it up. I got this on NECA's online store for a short period, and it should be out in the wild in the next month or so. So hopefully you liked the review. Always like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Make sure to comment every single time. I will try to reply. And hopefully you'll see this soon in your store.